Shalom, family. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. From Yahuwah, that is our Father, and Yahusha. He is the Messiah, the one that carries the burden of Yah, his voice, our high priest, soon coming King. Hear, O Yeshua, Yahuwah, who is our mighty one. He is one. There is no other mighty one in existence than Yahuwah, and Yahusha is his voice. This is Brother Dawood coming to you again to bring you the woman of virtue. This is part 5, Proverbs 31:29. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you excels them all. Who? La-ah. Look at the image. 2 sisters. The one in the front is getting married. Who would you say the one in the front would represent in our story? Rahel. Okay, let's paint a picture. We're in the marriage ceremony. Everyone is throwing back drinks, eating. They have out the shisha. And Rahel comes to do the marriage dance before Yaakov. She's gyrating back and forward. Picture Aaliyah and how she used to dance. Oh, and the dance is so alluring. And she's looking at Yaakov, and the dance is telling a story. It's saying, "This is going to be yours tonight, baby." All right, so Yaakov goes back to the tent. He lies upon the marriage sheet. When Yaakov goes to the tent, Laban snatches Rahel and brings her into another tent and takes off the marital robes and put them on Laha. Do you see the switch? And then brings La'ah to Yaakov. Do you see it? The same thing happened with Yaakov. He put on his brother's robes, brought a feast, sat down with his father, and posed to be Esau. Now the same thing that he pulled off with his father has happened to him. As a man soweth, so shall he also reap. Let's begin. 27. Fulfill her week, and we will give you this also for the service, Rahel, which you shall serve with me yet 7 other years. The plot unfolds. 28. And Yaakov did so and fulfilled her week. And he gave him Rahel his daughter to wife also. 14 years. He has worked now for the one he loves. 29. And Laban gave to Rahel his daughter Bilhah, his handmaid, to be her maid. Bilhah. See the prefix? A shortened form of Baal. They named themselves after the mighty ones in which they served. So they were basically idolaters, pagans. They worshipped false mighty ones. Look how it works. When a woman marries a husbandman, she also marries his mighty ones. She also marries into his family. She belongs to him. Here's the covenant. Your mighty one shall be my mighty one, and your people shall be my people. So if you're looking for a husband, a husbandman, a righteous man, they're one in a million. Who can find a righteous man? Their numbers are so scarce. 30. And he went in also unto Rahel. Excuse me? Where's the ceremony? Where's the men of the city coming together to prepare the feast? Why is it not mentioned here? Is it necessary for the second wife? Or is it just that Laban has already pulled off the switch? So he said, I'm not spending any more money. Anyway it goes, he went in unto Rahel, and she became his wife. Now listen, this is how marriage is. The ceremony is a part for everyone to see. But once you go into a woman and you take her virginity, men, that is your wife, and you are required to take care of her. And he loved also Rahel more than Leah. So he did love Leah, just not as much as Rahel, and served with him. Served with who? Laban, yet 7 other years. That makes 21 years he served with Laban. But after, he came out with great substance. 31. Enters His Majesty Yahuwah. When he saw that Leah was hated, well, she wasn't hated. It says in verse 30 that Jacob loved Rahel more than Leah, so he did love her. She was cast aside. He opened Leah's womb, but Rahel's womb was left closed. Why did the master of the universe, the creator of all things, take notice of Leah? She did everything right. She was a woman of virtue. She kept it. Even though she was involved in a deception, she honored the wishes of her father. She was obedient. And she went in and gave herself to Jacob like her father told her to do. And there she became the legitimate first wife. Jacob took her virginity. It cannot be returned. The safety seal cannot be put back on. So if Leah, even with her deception, is not the legitimate first wife and privy to all of the rights of the first wife amongst the family members, then Jacob is not the legitimate receiver of the birthright. He is not privy to the rights of leadership over all the children of Abraham. Now do you see why Yahuwah stepped in? As a man soweth, so shall he also reap. 32. And Leah conceived, Go ahead, Mama. You know, this is our great Amma. And she bore a son, and she called his name Rauban. For she said, surely Yahuwah have looked upon my affliction. What affliction? Well, she was cast aside. And Jacob loved Rahel more than her. Now therefore, my husband, he will love me. You're on your way. 33. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, because Yahuwah have heard I was hated, I was cast aside, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Shimon. Hey, how did she know that Yahuwah heard? Did the Aliyam speak to her? Did Jacob tell her? Well, she knew something. Look at the name that she called her second son, Shimon. In the New Testament, it would be Simon, like Simon Peter. Shimon. There's no such thing as Peter. That's a Latin term. There's no such thing as Kepha. That's a Greek term. His name is Shimon. The Roman Catholic Church bases their apostolic succession on Simon Peter. He's a sorcerer. They said he's the first bishop of Rome. He lays hands on his priests, and he passes down the apostolic succession from generation to generation to generation to the priest. What is that succession? Sorcery. They've used sorcery on us in their translation and in their doctrinal principles. How do I know this? I was educated in their mysteries. I came up in their schools. 34. And she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, now, this time, my husband will be joined unto me in my tent, because I have borne him 3 sons. Is 3 times the charm? Therefore, was his name called Levi? Cooyah. That's my final transliteration for this name. Cooyah. Look at the letters. The first letter is a La, second letter is a Wa, third letter is a Ya. The La, shepherd. The Wa, secured. Ya, an arm stretched forth, deliverance. Look what it means. The shepherd secured by Yah. Is that true? Yes, it is. This is the tribe that he chose to represent him. The priest of Aharon comes from Cooyah. I showed you on the walls in Egypt when they were going for the Exodus. That was the tribe of Cooyah, Masha's family. Look how powerful La'ah is. She has the firstborn son. She has Shimon. They would call him Simeon also. Now she has Cooyah. Out of her womb, the father chose the tribe that would represent him. 35. And she conceived again. Hold it 1 second. Something's wrong, right? How is she conceiving all of these times if Jacob hasn't come to her tent? Now it's time for the story. I knew you knew it was coming. Now this story is rated R for adult content. Jakob's coming down the road. Maybe he's coming from the fields or something. And he's coming to La'a's tent because she has 3 sons there. So he's coming down the road, and the boys see him coming, and they're screaming, "Baba! Baba!" And they run to meet him, and the 2 older ones, Rabban and Shimon, they run and dive on their father. Cooyah is small, so he's a little slower. They run and dive on their father, and they tackle him to the ground. And here comes Cooyah and jumps on top of all of them, and they're all wrestling with their father. And he throws them aside, and he's throwing them over here and throwing them over there. Then he starts crawling on the ground, and he's growling like a lion. And the little boys are screaming. They're like, "Ah, the lion's going to eat us. The lion's going to eat us." And he's chasing them all around. And he gets Cooyah, because Cooyah's the slowest one, and he pins Cooyah to the ground. And he's biting Cooyah, and Cooyah is screaming and laughing at the same time. Then Rabban and Shimon say, "We're going to rescue our brother from the lion." And they dive on their father, and they start beating him up, and they're roughhousing all over the place. And then a voice comes out. It's La'a. And she says, "Don't be so rough with them, Jakob." Then afterwards they decide to come in, and they get cleaned up. And La'a says to Jakob, "I've made that special meal that you like so much. Curry goat. Sit down and eat with us." And the children are like, "Yes, Baba, stay here, eat with us." So they're all sitting down. Jakob is having some drinks, throwing them back. The children are asking him question after question after question. It's non-stop, and he's answering all of them, and they're all speaking at the same time, and they're just having so much fun because their Baba's right there in the tent with them. And here, he's having fun too. These are his first children. He is so connected to them. Then the night grows on. And La'a says, "Zalpa, take the children to bed. It's getting late." The children say, "No, Mommy, no, we want to stay up. We want to hang out with Baba." "No, it's time for you to go to bed. It's getting late." Zalpa takes them away, takes them to another place, puts them to sleep. When they leave, La'a closes up the tent. She takes off her clothes. Jakob looks at her. She's had 3 children. Man, she's gotten better. The bubbles are everywhere now. Looks like she got a bazillion. Looks like she's got breast implants. She is so voluptuous. She takes off her hairpiece, and she shakes her hair around. The locks are so long and so beautiful. And she turns to Jakob and she says, "I want to do that special thing that you like so much." And Jakob says, "Uh-oh." So she goes and she starts doing that special thing that Jakob loves. And Jakob is just there. He's just trembling, and he's just having himself a day of extreme pleasure. And La'a is snatching his soul away. The next thing you know, Jakob says, "The volcano is about to erupt." And La'ah says, hold on now. And she jumps on top and she does a few of those perfect moves. And the next thing you know, she conceived again and bare another son. And she said, now will I praise Yahuwah. Hold it. You're saying that you're going to praise Yahuwah with those same lips after the things that you were doing? Note, in the marriage bed, it is totally undefiled. There's nothing that you can do in the marriage bed that would be against he who is seated upon the throne. He created sex for pleasure between the man and the woman. Who will be judged? Fornicators and adulterers will be judged, but those who are legitimately married, there is no judgment for you. Let me make a proclamation. Enjoy one another. Let not the voices of the unlearned and the unstable take away your joy. Therefore, she called his name Yahudah. Well, we pretty much know what that means. The prefix Yahu, that's the name of Yahuwah. The Da means door, and the Ha means man. Yahuwah is the door of man. A specific man, not just any man. What is his name? Jacob, whose name was changed to Yesharu, and she left bearing. I would think so. This is 4 years back to back. She gave Jacob sons. 4 men. Continued to part 6. It's going to be rated R for adult content. Shalom.